Hello everyone, welcome to another Flesh and Blood video. We are so close to being able to talk about Rosetta since, well, we're not getting the entire set, but most of the set is going to be revealed very, very soon, which means we'll get to start with our set reviews, but we won't have every card because they're not showing every card. And when's the world premiere? In 2 weeks, we should have every card in the set from the world premiere, which means we can start doing our reviews. Now, I may not have any video ideas. A video I was planning on making, I do not have ready by any means, because I don't know how I'm going to do it, but it's going to be a very big video. And another video I was going to make does not make sense because we don't have every card, so I'm not going to do it yet. So, for now, I think I do one of these, I think every set. We're going to talk about the deck that I've been playing the most the entire set. I've been playing Zen a lot, guys. This is the definitive Zen deck list, or what I'm going to title the video is going to be the definitive best Zen Tamer of Purpose deck list for Classic Constructed. This is the deck I've been playing, which means it's the best, obviously. You clicked on the video to see my opinion on this deck. This is what I've been playing. I think this is a very, very good list. I've been playing it pretty much every week. This has been the only deck I've been playing at my events for any of it. So, with that, let's get started. Starting with Zen, of course, you don't have to go over Zen, the bane to like everyone's existence except some Zen players and new players and Victor players because they actually have a good matchup. Zen, pay 3 chi, get a Tiger to your hand, search for a card combo, banish it, you may play it this turn. What's going to happen, guys, when Zen doesn't get banned or get another card banned? What's going to happen? Is Zen going to be the Nadu? Zen's lasted a lot longer than, I think, 70. That's actually insane. Nadu and Hogak lasted exactly 73 days. But I don't think Zen's going anywhere. Why do I think that? Well, because that's just how aggro decks work. KO is the best deck. People wanted KO cards to get banned. No KO cards got banned. I guess Berserk got banned, but that was technically because of KO, because of the new KO, it was a new chess piece in the KO Armory deck. But KO didn't actually get any cards banned from him, because he never even played Berserk, realistically. Zen did get cards banned from Katsu, which fucking sucked, but it's fine. Zen shifted a lot since the banning of yellow and blue bonds to play a more just standardized deck, not so much a super large burst deck, but you still have your burst windows because you're Zen, and they're probably going to ban Art of War if they ban anything. But we'll have to see. I don't know when the next BNR is, but they either will not ban anything and just say Zen's going to go, or they're going to ban like Art of War, because to be honest, none of the actual cards that Zen gets to play are inherently broken. The best card that Zen can play is this helmet right here, Traverse the Universe. But they can't touch this, because if they touch this, it's going to hurt Enigma. So they don't want to hurt any other decks. That's why they didn't want to ban yellow and blue bonds right away, because, or they had like 5 different bans they could do, because banning yellow and blue bonds hurts all of the ninjas. And none of the other ninjas are very good right now. And also seeing that the new card we were supposed to get, or we are getting in Rosetta, is a Gust Wave for Katsu. Them banning bonds hurts that card a lot. That card would be a lot better if we had all 9 bonds, but we don't anymore. So what are we going to do? Maybe they bring the bonds back once Zen goes, which I think is definitely a possibility. I honestly, there's no competitive level of, there's no like really high level events coming up. They could just go, Bonds is back, Zen's gone, have fun. But we'll have to see. But really, Ninja has no cards in this deck are inherently broken. Well, Levels is pretty good. But like there are very good cards, but Zen is just so consistent because of his equipment suite. So let's go over the equipment. Starting with the main weapon, Tiger Taming Kagura. This card just really good. 2 for 2. Next Tiger gets +1. It's like a 2 for 3 base go again. It's just good you play it in Zen because it's bust your Tigers, you're going to have a Tiger a lot of the time. Traverse the Universe is the main card that is actually breaking Zen, but they can't get rid of it, so they have to do ways around it. It's 2-block helmet, blade break. When it defends, you search for a chi, reveal it, put it into your hand. This is, I will hold this statement. The only reason why Zen is broken is because of Traverse the Universe. This card ups his consistency so much. You know the chess piece Deep Blue? The one-time card that lets you put a card to bottom and make 3 resource? Well, this is Deep Blue, but +2 block, you don't lose a card from hand, and it takes up an arguably better equipment slot because the chess piece is really good. And specifically Zen's is really good. And the masks, you could go without them. This card's just insanely broken, but they can't get rid of it because Enigma plays it. And which honestly, Enigma could just play the standard generic helms, but this would be the card. It's the same thing with Crown of Seeds. They didn't get rid of Crown of Seeds for the longest time because it was a legendary. This card's the problem. This is the reason why Zen is broken. He could just have his normal draws and be fine, but the fact that this gives him a tutor and a tiger guaranteed when it defends, even if you don't, it's searching your deck for a blue. It's so broken. This card's the problem. Nothing other than Art of War, which they're not going to get rid of Art of War because it's a generic card that helps so many other decks. This would be the card they need to get rid of to make Zen fair. If they don't get rid of Traverse the Universe, this card is not fair. Zen will not be fair. Let's move on. 12-Petal Kasaya. This chess piece is just really good. I don't think they're going to get rid of it. It's really strong. When you transcend, you gain a resource. Turns that you do transcend, you tend to need it. On turns you double transcend, you technically don't, but you already had a blue in hand. But in turn you have blue 100 wins to flip a transcend card. You tend to need that one resource, so this is just really nice. 2-block Blade Break is good too. It has a lot of defensive options as well with its instant. You see Pudding Tom, when he's ever on camera, do this a lot, where he'll block with the helmet and the chest at the same time, get a chi, and then spend that chi on the chess piece on the next attack, so he can get the most damage reduction possible. So the 12-Petal Kasaya does offer that capability as well, but it's mainly for the first ability to give you that extra resource, as well as the 2-block later is pretty good. Tiger, Stripe, Shuko, there are a lot of gloves you can play. Technically into Mechanologist, your glove choice matters because you swap this, or you either keep both this and Strides, or you swap this out, or you swap Strides out to deal with T-Bone specifically. Personally, I swap the shoe, but I've seen people swap the glove to deal with T-Bone. If I swap anything at all, I swap the shoe, but that's just me. This is just more damage. It's good. You play it because you trigger it pretty much every turn. It's just like why Fi plays it. Fi triggers it every turn because he's always getting the flame, so anything else will help him trigger it. Same as Zen. Zen will get it every turn. He's getting a tiger off his ability. He's also getting, he has a lot of attacks that are lower. 100 wins, blue descendant, a blue spinning wheel. Any time you make 2 tigers, or you play a tiger swipe, just this is going off every turn, you're getting free damage. It's really good. And then finally, Strider Appraisal. This card should also be banned. Strider Appraisal is broken. This is the reason why Art of War is broken. Because you add a tiger to your hand, so you guarantee you get the 2 draws. That's the pure reason why this card's broken. No one ever plays the Tiger when they block with Shredder Appraisal. Sometimes they do, but it's never like the best thing ever to do. The Tiger is very useful. It helps trigger Shuko, so it's like a half a point of damage. Of course, if you have a pump turn, it's really good. Mainly just Art of War, but I guess it's always a full point of damage because of the weapon. But just one block, draw card. This and Traverse are the reason why Zen's broken, guys. Because none of the cards he's actually playing that are ninja cards are like broken. Like Bonds is very strong. No other ninja card is insanely broken. It's literally just these two pieces of equipment that are the reason why Zen is insane. So, with that, before we talk about the deck, as always, let's talk about some of the extra equipment that we are playing, because there are a lot of equipment that we do play inside of Zen. Starting with what we're doing versus Arcane matchups. We have a Lantern and a Flippers for AB. Some people opt for 3 AB. I think that's reasonable and perfectly fine to play a No Ring Glove instead of a Spellfray Glove. However, I've found that generally, if you need to AB3 something, it's going to be something that has a specific on-hit of damage, like a Wildfire. It's better to have 2 Spell Void for that, in my opinion, and then have more mana to pay for other things later. So that's why I'm only on 2. Also, Glove, I think, is better versus Runeblade than Shoe, because generating the Tiger is really, really good. But we are on Tide Flipper versus Runeblade matchups, because a lot of them can just break your needles, so I wouldn't bring the Lantern there. And versus Wizard, we'll bring a needle, the Lantern, Flippers, and the 2 Spellfray. The Spellfrays are only for Kano. I've seen a lot of lists play not Spellfray TR. They're on usually Mask of the Pouncing Lynx instead, and they're just going to try to race the Kano. I think that's the 2 schools of thought. It's either double Spellfray, No Rune Glove and Spellfray Head, or No Rune Glove and Mask of the Pouncing Lynx. I've personally found double Spellfray to be better, but it is the player's choice. Other cards. Double Zephyr Needle. This card's just really good. You're only bringing this in versus aggro mirrors, because aggro mirrors play a lot of 2 blocks, mainly things like Azalea, things like other Zens, other ninjas, any deck with a lot of 2 blocks. Maybe not Runeblade, but sometimes Runeblade, I guess. Zephyr Needle, if you know they're on like aggro viz, right? You bring Zephyr Needle. But like any aggro deck that plays a lot of 2 blocks, Zephyr Needle is really good against, because it's more damage than the Kakara. It makes them spend a card to block. Just a really good card. Generally, you'll end your chains with these in the aggro mirror. So if they want to block, they took the full brunt of your turn already. And then I do play 1 Time Skippers. This is only for Prism, because Arclight Sentinel is very good. They've been starting to bring it in against you because they can end a really big turn, play it. Normally, after you, if you tutor a Descendant, if you tutor a Bonds and you play a Descendant, they're going to play it, because then you have to swing your Bonds into it, or you just lose your Bonds. There are times it can just stop your turn. Of course, it would stop you because you wouldn't be able to Time Skippers and then play the Descendant, but Time Skippers for those situations where like you get a really big turn with double Art of War and they ALS you, and then you just make the decision to go, okay, pitch a blue Skippers, swing something into the Arclight Sentinel, go the rest of my turn, because they're not going to be able to block anything else. So that's what these are for, only Prism. I played against a fair bit of Prisms. It's just a race at that point, but you do need the Skippers for those. And if they don't bring an Arclight Sentinel, that's fine. Sometimes you just use it to clear, and you're okay. So with all that, let's go with the actual deck list. A lot of the deck lists that I've been playing recently are not 60 card main boards. However, Zen is a deck where I would consider a 60 card main board because most of these cards are extremely important. You will swap them out in like only a few matchups. So, 60 cards main board, let's go over it all. Starting with the blues, because the blues are the most important cards in the deck. We are on all 9 available trends. Technically, there's 10. Do not play Misclick Gully. All 9 of the available legendary instants: drop, homage, pass, path, preserve, rising sun, stir, grains, and your sacred art. Why these? Because you need them for Zen's ability. You want them every turn if possible. They're all very good. Sacred Art's harder to play, but it has the best effect. In addition to these, we're on a fair amount of other blues. 3 levels of Enlightenment, because this card is bonkers. Most of the time, you want to see this, pretty much all the time, you want to see this in a hand with a blue to pitch for it, as well as a card you can transcend. The reason for that is you will play this pitching a blue, then play that transcend card, then pitch that transcend card to Zen's ability. You'll get a draw go again. It's very uncommon you will pick the +2. If you have a turn where you have all 3 modes, of course you're picking it. And then sometimes you'll just if it's the end of your chain, you'll just 5 and draw and keep an arsenal. That can happen sometimes, but usually you're choosing go again and draw, and this will be the first thing you do on your turn. I guess unless it's also a super endgame situation, you will pick +2 and go again if they're at 1, but still. Normally it's draw go again. We're also on 3 Ancestral Harmony because it's a pump, and every other attack in this deck, actually SC and CE Strike don't. Most of the attacks in this deck, about half of the deck has combo. So you have a 50% hit rate on the Ancestral Harmony. It's super good when you hit, pretty mid when you whiff, but on the times you do hit, it's just game winning. As well as it's a free blue that you can transcend off of. 2 Biting Breeze, because again, it's a free blue you can transcend off of. It's an attack that threatens another attack later because it generates a tiger if it hits, so generally people will put an equipment in front, which is pretty good for you. So, Biting Breeze, pretty good blue. I find this to be the best blue that doesn't have combo to play, but I've seen Harmony of the Hunt, and I have seen the Tenet of Chi Moon, the on your next attack with the blue draw. In Zenless, I just think that Biting Breeze is a lot better. And I'm also on 2 Winds of Eternity. I really like Winds of Eternity. It's a blue card with combo you can banish off your Ancestral Harmony. As well as we are on 600 wins, so it does come live a lot. It also has 3 blocks, so it's good to block with. I just really like it. The only problem with it is it's a blue that isn't a starter for your transcends, so it can feel a little clunky sometimes, but you can always just pitch it for your turn or block with it. So it has a lot of nice utility with it. And then the final blue, that isn't another attack. We'll go over the blue attacks that we're playing the red versions of when we talk about the reds. Is going to be Orion. Orion's really, really good in Zen. I think you might see it in Enigma sometimes, but this is really just a Zen card. Its main draw in Zen is if you start with a Biting Breeze into any of your other... Oh, another thing with Biting Breeze is it's an actual attack, so you can play your ones that need a target attacks, your drop, path, and grains on it, where you can't, unlike an Ancestral Harmony or the Tenet. But back to Orion. Orion is really, really good in Zen because if you have a situation where you start with a Biting Breeze or 100 Winds blue, or any 0 cost, even an Ancestral Harmony, and then you transcend, you'll gain a resource off your 12 petal, and then you can pitch that Chi and have 4 resource for the Orion and draw 3 cards. So this card gets so much value because you will draw 3 off it pretty much every time you play it. But even with Traverse, it's a draw 3 off Traverse because you'll have the Chi guaranteed. So Orion, really strong pretty much in every situation but the Traverse Tutor. It's a one card draw, I guess 2 card draw 3, but normally it's like a 3 card draw 2, which sucks, or 3 card draw 3. Being a 2 card draw 3 is insane. So that's why it's in the deck. Some lists don't play it. I've found it really nice when I have drawn it. So I personally wouldn't play Zen without it. And then of course you take it out versus new, but we'll talk about that in the sideboard section. The only yellow in the main board is Art of War. This card's broken in Zen because you get the free Tiger off his ability and strides. Honestly, they could errata Zen like they errated Briar. Or possibly errata strides as well to not add it to your hand. I think it's fine for something like Harmony of the Hunt to put the Tiger in your hand. But there's a reason why, I guess technically Roar the Tiger puts it in your hand, but there's a reason why none of the generic ninja cards add the Tiger to your hand, because you just banish it to Art of War and you get a free Art of War. So the fact that the Mystic ones do is insane. Technically they have to for like Tooth and Nail, but like the fact that they go to your hand is insane for Art of War, because you can just banish a Tiger, get 2 free cards, and pump everything, and your turn's great. So on 3, because this card's nutso in Zen. It's like in Chain. Chain just get free Art of Wars because you can play his cards from Banish. It's like the same reasoning. Moving on to the reds. A lot of the usual suspects. Aspect Body, Chase the Tail are just 2 really good cards. They combo together really, really well. Chase the Tail combos off a Tiger. If it did, gets Go again and gives your next Tiger this chain +3. Aspect Body combos off a red and makes a Tiger. So you can tutor 1 off of Zen, play the Tiger off Zen. Say your hand is like blue, chi, one of these. You can, which is a great 3-card hand. You can pitch the chi to Zen, get a Chase or the Aspect, whichever one you don't have. Swing the weapon, come in with the Tiger off of Zen, then go chase into Aspect into the Tiger made off of Aspect, which means you're proccing your Shuko on this turn. You're threatening a really wide turn for, I believe it's 14 damage. 3, 1 from Tiger. This would be 7. So 11, 14 damage turn off of a 3-card hand, which is really, really good. Obviously, it's a pretty specific 3-card hand, but what about turns where you have that plus another card? So it's definitely it's insanely strong. These cards together, Chase the Tail, Aspect Body. I wouldn't play Zen without these. Of course, I wouldn't play Zen either without Bonds and Ascendant Gust Wave. We're on the 3 red Bonds. This is pretty much an M now, as well as the 3 red and 3 blue Ascendant Gust Waves. Some lists are on 2 red, some lists are on 2 blue. Generally, you're on at least 5. I just like the 6 for consistency reasons. Blue is a starter. You usually search for Bonds off it, and it gets your Transcends, and then the red is just like a 1 for 3 go again, which isn't that bad. Again, is a starter for Bonds. Bonds, of course, is really good. Bonds is the only reason we're actually on 2 Mauling Key, because you can tutor it, and sometimes you do that. 3 CNC. We're on a lot of blues. It's just a good card. I think it's good main board. It's a very disruptive meta. You want to force your opponent to either defend with their cards that would tend to disrupt you, or get disrupted themselves. CNC is the best thing at it. If you didn't own CNC, because I say it replacement in all my videos, you might just want to opt for like an extra E-Strike, Mauling Key, and like another blue, to be honest. Like, none of the CNC replacements are as good as CNC for decks that want to mainboard it. You could play Amnesia, you could move like the 3 weakest link up to the main board, and then put like 2 Amnesia side, or like 2 of the 2 weakest links in the sideboard up to the main board, add a 3rd one, and then put like Amnesia in your board. Like, there are definitely replacements you can do. Humble works. If you want to play 3 Humble in this slot, that's fine. It's just weird because it's only a 2 block. There are a lot of things you can do. CNC is the best thing. I would either, like I said, maybe play 3 Humble or swap it out for a blue, a 30 strike, and a 3rd Mullen key. Speaking of E-Strike, 2 E-Strike. Zenless don't play, or you can play Biting Breeze instead of CNCs. Or Biting Breeze? Bittering Thorns. You can play Red Bittering Thorns instead. I cut it because I think it's a little worse than E-Strike from when I played it, but you could play that as well. That's like the best other card you can play. E-Strike. I like E-Strike, usually. In Zen, it's a little weird because your cards are very... I know I said this deck is a lot of, like, really, like, less than average cards, but they have a lot of synergy with each other. So when you have to lose one of those synergy pieces for your turn, it feels a little weird. But on turns you need a block, or on turns you haven't, you can put a Tiger to the bottom. I had a game where I chose not to put the Tiger to the bottom. You put the Tiger to the bottom every time. You're never going to see it again. In a late game situation, if you bottom a Tiger, you're not going to see it, even if you shuffle. Even if you do see it and you shuffle, that's fine, because you probably made them not able to attack you. You can just play the Tiger. It was a situation where it was either Arsenal a Tiger or a blue spinning wheel. If I Arsenaled the blue spinning wheel, I would have won the game 3 turns sooner. You always bottom the Tiger. And the fact that you can bottom the Tiger is insane. Again, adding a Tiger to your hands, broken. It's the best thing Zen does. It makes your E-Strike have literally no cost. Also, that's why your Tigers have to be in the same sleeve as your main board, in case you do E-Strike the Tiger. Or you get inertia trapped, I think, is the only other way you can get a Tiger in your deck. But E-Strike, really, really good. With Tigers specifically. But we're only on 2, because outside of the interaction of with Tigers or it's like a 2-card hand, this card isn't that good. The other 2 of in our deck is 2 Mullen Key. This is in the deck because you can tutor it off Zen and you can tutor it off of Bonds. There have been so many times where I've been playing and I was just like, man, I wish I had a Mullen Key in my deck, because this is a great Mullen Key turn. I need an ender. I don't have access to 2 Tigers. I only have the Tiger I'm making off Zen or off another mean, so I can't get a second Tiger for the Chase the Tail. Tiger Swipe feels bad because I'll end my turn with a resource floating. I don't want to get a spinning wheel because I can't continue my turn after. It's just like, Mullen Key is the answer. I get the Mullen Key. In situations you have 2 resource floating for Key Unleashed, because I've seen lists on Key Unleashed, they're generally not turns you have a Zen tutor, it's generally turns you're bonzing. And if you're Zen tutoring for a Key Unleashed, it feels a little weird because, I'd rather just get something that continues my turn, or get the Mullen Key, or you can just swing weapon. So, I really like Mullen Key. I think you only need 2, but it is a 3 block. It does have a decent on hit. It's pretty good. It's a little bad in the mirror, because in the mirror they will have their traverse 12 petal turn. Those happen in the mirror a fair bit. And the Zen State blocks the 1 on hit. So in the mirror it's a little worse, but even in the mirror, early game, just a 1 for 5, a 1 for 6 is good. So pretty strong. I wouldn't play Zen without Mullen Key, to be honest. I don't think I've talked about 100 wins. This video is going to be pretty long, but because I ranted a bit. But 100 wins, Spinning Wheel Kick are just like good combo attacks. They have Go Again. 100 wins is a little better. It combos off of itself to get +1 for each 100 wins on the chain. This won't happen more than once in a game. But also 100 wins combos with Winds of Eternity, and we are on Winds of Eternity, so they're good. The blues are chain starters, they're free, they have combo, you can banish them off Ancestral, they get pumped by Ancestral. That's why they're in the deck. They're just free head jabs that either start your Transcends or just do good damage. Spinning Wheel Kick, we're on the red and the blue. They combo off themselves, and they have an on-hit to go on the bottom of your deck, and also get +1. So sometimes they're a 1 for 5 or a 1 for 3 at blue, but mainly they're here because they're cards with combo, they're chain stunners. I tend to like Spinning Wheel Kick. Paying the 1 for your Transcend starter doesn't feel the worst. It's not the worst thing in the world. You do it off Descendant a lot. It sucks when it's like blue Spinning Wheel, because like blue Descendant you can combo into bonds, right? But it sucks when it's like blue Spinning Wheel, 2 reds, and like your Transcend card, but who cares? You're transcending. You have a turn later where you can traverse. If it's the end game and you still kept a 4-card hand, it's probably going to threaten cards from them anyway. Blue Spinning Wheel, I think, is just good enough. I personally have really liked it. Some people don't play it. I do. I really like this card. And then the last card in the main board we have to go over is Tiger Swipe. This card will never hit. When it does hit, it generally doesn't really matter because it's your second card off Shuko, and the only time the hit really matters is if it's Sacred Art Jade Tiger Domain or you have a Chase the Tail, which, sure, in those situations, great. But if you had a Chase the Tail, you would have done it before your Tiger Swipe because you probably only make 1, and if you did make 2 Tigers off Chase the Tail, or if you did have 2 Tigers to make 2 Tigers off the Tiger Swipe, you would have just played the Chase the Tail in that chain before, instead of relying on this to hit. It's a decent tutor off of Shuko or it's a decent tutor off of Zen because the Tiger will be the first thing for the Shuko, and the Swipe will see it, which is, another reason why this isn't that good, because the Tigers you make won't be pumped at all. But, I mean, for a 0 for 5, it's fine. If that's how your turn ends up, if you need the 0 for 5 off of your Shuko, off of like a Zen tutor, that's perfectly fine. It's just a good card. It blocks 3. It comes in as a 0 for 4. That's all the card really needs to do. Moving on to the sideboard, we have 4 cards we need to talk about. Snag, That All You Got, The Weakest Link, and Sink Below. Let's get started with Snag. This card is only for your worst matchup, which is new. You need this card because you're taking out Orion and your levels, because if new plays them, it's pretty much game over. Orion is a free 2 cards for them. Never have this in your deck if you're playing against a new. It is the only deck that punishes you for it, because I don't think any of the instant count. I think the only instant counter we currently have in CC is Aetherize, which only hits cards of 1 or less, so this will always go off. And then levels is really good if you're new, because new plays it and new can steal it, so don't play this into new either. Even if it's a 3 block, even if you don't put it in front of a stealth attack and only ever play it, they have Passover, they have their Sacred Art, they can get these in the Banish. These will always be their first targets, because on a turn they new ability you, they already have at least 1 card that's blue in pitch, and they're probably going to have a second one. So they're always going to get the draw go again or the +2 go again, and it's going to hurt you so much you don't play this card. No new ever. You play Snag. Snag is a blue. Snag is a card that doesn't really help them if they do it, because then they're doing new defensively. As well as really only, it does affect a fair amount of attacks in your deck. But, that would mean they played new defensively. And Snag helps you versus all the reactions and stuff. So, it's a good card there. That All You Got is for your mirrors. Sometimes you bring this into new. It really only blocks daggers there, because if you're playing this, if you're doing this into an attack, they're just going to pump over it. And then you also don't have the cards to defend that react. So that doesn't matter. This is for the mirror. This is the best thing you can do to break Zephyr Needles. But into anything other than the mirror, maybe like if you're against Katsu or another deck that plays really small attacks, it's fine. But it's really just the mirror. In the mirror, if this breaks a needle, it's a really big swing for you. That's really all it's for. I played matchups without it in, and, it feels a little worse. When you want to play this card, a lot of the time I just add it. Playing extra cards in Zen doesn't feel so bad because he gets a tutor every turn, And yes, it can hurt your consistency at drawing some of your blues and other stuff, but like, it replaces itself, so if you draw it, it's gonna draw you a card anyway. We're going to skip to Weakest Link for now. Sink Below is the other card you bring in when you go down your blues, because it's a D-React and you need D-Reacts to defend yourself because new hurts a lot. You'll also add this card when playing against Victor because you're going to bring in these 3 against Victor as well. You might not want that all you got, but the Weakest Link you need because it's a bigger attack. You're going to have 2-card hands versus Victor a lot, or hands where you get crushed and some of your cards don't do anything. And you want Sink Below because they have a lot of evasive things you need to block, and the 1 bigger number on block is also really good. Same as that, or you got, it's an Arsenal defensive card. But Sink Below is really good versus that. If any matchup you want to be a little more defensive, take Sink Below, consider it. You could argue it versus Azalea. I still wouldn't. Because that matchup's really just a race. Hope they don't disrupt you on a turn, then you go off and kill them. But I would against Victor. I would against New. Again, I'd bring this in over these, but I would also play 62 in that matchup because I would want the Weakest Link as well. Maybe not that, or you got. You could play 64 if you want against New, but you just can't play these blues. The Weakest Link's the last card in the sideboard. It's good in the mirror. Play it in the mirror over E-Strike if you want, because this is more threatening than an E-Strike, and similar reason to what I said before with E-Strike. If you're not bottoming a tiger, it feels a little weird. In the mirror, you're generally playing your tigers. You're playing your whole hand normally, so E-Strike has a lot of situations where it's not as good, and you'll have a lot of situations where you have the 2 resources for the Weakest Link, so that's better to play instead of the E-Strike there. Into other matchups that don't play no blocks, KO as well. I would play Weakest Link over E-Strike against KO. Pretty much anytime you bring in Weakest Link, except New and Victor, because New and Victor you want A, as many cards you can get, as well as B, 2-card hands. E-Strike's really good in those situations. You'll bring in Weakest Link over the E-Strike. Again, KO, the mirror. Enigma, maybe, as well. I think that's a fair reason to bring in this as well. This threatens Enigma a lot. But with all of that, that's going to be the end of the video. I talked a lot here because this is a deck I know how to play. If you see a deck list, I talk a little bit, not too much. It's not a deck I play very often, but a deck like Zen, where I play them a lot. You'll probably also see that with the Wizards next set. I'll probably have a lot more to say about them than the Runeblades. Maybe not. Maybe just Florian. I probably won't talk a lot about Florian. He doesn't really interest me. But the other 3 are really interesting. I'll probably test them out a lot more than Florian, so I'll have more to say about them. But yeah, this is what I've been playing for Zen. The definitive best Zen list you've ever seen, or something like that. You read the title of the video and you clicked on it. Hopefully you made it this far. I really appreciate it if you did make it this far in the video, because not a lot of my videos have that much watch time on them. But I appreciate the comments people leave. I'll try to answer questions that get asked if you have a question on this video. As always, the link is in the description of the video if you want this deck list to test out on something like Talishar, or to make a personal copy. And yeah, soon we'll start with the Rosetta grind. Soon enough, in the next few weeks. Maybe not next week. Actually, I forgot. My video for next week, if I get my cards, will be the opening of Altered TCG. I have 1 box. I bought 1 box. We will open that on camera because I didn't give you guys which it would have been not the most amazing thing. I opened a Marvel Jade Tiger Domain in my first pack. I didn't give you guys a box opening for Parthimus Veil. I don't know if you'll get one for Rosetta. I'm considering buying a case, which will be the biggest box opening I've ever done, but I didn't give you guys a box opening for Rosetta. So I'm going to open my altered box probably on camera. So maybe that's the video next week. Most likely, unless I open it with my friends who are also playing Altered. But for the most part, for like a 90% chance, the next week's video will be a box opening for Altered. And then after that, it should be Rosetta time. So again, thank you all for watching the video. If you would be so kind to like and subscribe, that would be appreciated. But again, you don't have to. I would really appreciate it if you did, though. I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.